I'm Nadeska, and right now I have the pleasure of catching up with Fousheé. She's an Apple Music Up Next artist celebrating the release of her debut album, Time Machine. Girl, you have had a pretty crazy year, probably even in ways you didn't expect. So I'm just wondering now, at the point of releasing your album, how are you feeling?
I feel like this is a long-awaited album on my end. I've been working on this for the past year, so I'm happy for these songs to finally come out. I'm excited. I love this project.
A lot of people got introduced to you last year when Sleepy Hollow used your deep end sample and it went viral on TikTok. So people, including me, I loved the record. Immediately, I wanted to know more about you. So I started doing my Googles and I couldn't find a lot. And I was so curious. So in the period between that song going viral and you finally getting the credit that you deserved for it, what was actually going through your head at the time?
The thing that finally puts you on the map, you never really expect it to be that thing. So I think it was one of those unexpected moments of I made that sample and that song with the intention just to make something cool and for it to turn out the way that it did. It really opened a lot of doors for me, and I've been singing all my life, but I feel like everything is just now starting, so I'm excited and feel like I finally have the opportunity to make the things that I've been wanting to create since I was a little girl.
You do have this very beautiful, soulful voice, and then, on Deep End, we also heard you sort of rapping a little bit. So when you were younger, were you also rapping at the time, or is that something that you started like dabbling in a bit more recently?
I think it kind of ties into my childhood. I had this shift from we moved out the hood and then moved to a better neighborhood. My mom constantly was trying to work to get us into a good school system, a good neighborhood. So I think my surroundings, early on in childhood reflected, R&B and hip hop, and I lived within that world and that culture and that foundation. When we moved into a better neighborhood, it was very hard because I was learning how to be a person, without those examples of my culture around me on a daily basis. So I felt like an outsider in my everyday life. But I think that just made me embrace music more and want to get lost in that world. And I used to listen to a lot of hip hop.
So once you moved out to LA and found your community there, it seems like that's when you really started thriving. And so now Deep End becomes a big successful record. It didn't seem like you had any illusions that as a Black woman entering the music industry, things were going to be peachy and fun all the time and super easy. So how would you describe your expectations going in? And then how has your experience been so far?
And I think more in the up and coming world, I've seen a lot of Black women not get what they deserve. I think I see a lot of talented Black women who are writers, producers, dancers, whatever, singers, who are a very essential piece to the puzzle of what made a song successful or a show successful or, a video successful, and what they got out of it didn't reflect that. So I already knew what it was, but I don't think that ever deterred me because this is what I love to do.
Well, in terms of the sounds that you mentioned that you wanted to capture on this album, so we've come to know that, of course, you grew up as a huge fan of hip-hop, of R&B, of reggae, and that you're happy sort of spreading out and taking up some room in this alternative space. So in terms of actually production and the sounds, what did you want to capture on the project?
I wanted to feel like a rock star. I wanted it to feel, I just wanted peaks and valleys, moments of calmness, and that's where I love to live, with a nice guitar and one vocal, and I'm just storytelling. I love making songs like that, but I tried to make some up-tempo stuff too, and sometimes I want to party and be ratchet or, express other emotions that aren't as calm as an acoustic song.
Well, I think one testament to how many peaks and valleys there are on the project, or how diverse the songs are. Is some of the people you've gotten to work with. So one of them is Lil Wayne. You guys had a record out called Gold Fronts. And can you tell us quickly the story of how that record came together? Because I think it's very entertaining.
And he was just showing love online on Instagram, and then I brought up the idea to work, and he was with it, and he was really easy to work with and cool and very good at what he does. So I learned a lot from that. But I went to Miami to work with him, and actually Gold Fronts happened a little after that trip. He just sent that one to me, and I loved it, and I was like, wow, like I never seen Wayne on a song like that, so laid back. It was cool to see him like in my world. And I even was like, hey, should we add drums? And he was like, no, it's perfect as it is. So I feel special to have a song with him showing that vulnerable side of himself.
Fousheé, thank you. It was really wonderful getting to know you. You can stream her debut album, Time Machine, on Apple Music.
Thank you.